was really Taylor that started talking about me.
It's so great to be here again with you. Obviously, I'm a forever stan of Shania everything, but this album is so much fun.
Oh, good.
And it's finding, what I'm sensing from it is you are authentically yourself. You are kind of free. And to me, I'm just hearing this excitement in your voice, and you're just not taking things too seriously, and you're having fun with it. What were you processing when creating this album?
I wrote most of the music during a very solitary period. I mean, I wrote it during COVID. So even though I love to be solitary, I love to escape to songwriting, and I like to be very quiet and private, and I enjoy that alone time. But the weight of COVID and all of the anxiety that came with it for me, for my family, is it ever going to end? The one thing that I felt I could control was my frame of mind. And I decided that my frame of mind needed to stay positive. My go-to therapy is songwriting. My objective was to stay in a positive spirit and frame of mind. So I started to write upbeat, cheerful songs. And Queen and Me was one of the earlier ones.
Yep.
And that was saying so much about how I was feeling. I'm like, okay, take charge of your mood. Mm-hmm. You're responsible for the way you're responding and reacting to all of this negativity and weight. So it's all about self-empowerment and about being the boss of yourself.
And now that it's coming out, when you look back at that, are you empowered singing these songs and thinking about like how dark of a place all of us were in when you were working on it? But you were bringing this light and being like, I'm the leader of this narrative. I can change this.
I got to keep the lights on, man. I was like, I have to keep the sunshine in my world and in my mind, in my spirit. Queen and Me was really me. I was being quite sassy, like, okay, this is not gonna control me, right? I have the freedom of songwriting. I have the freedom of imagination. I have the freedom of saying what I want to say in a song. Giddy Up was another one. I mean, the whole album was being written in this sort of defiance of restriction. I was pushing back on that, but in a very encouraging way. So I'm like, oh, come on. Get some spice in your life. Put some up in your giddy is where it started. Put some up in your giddy. Giddy up.
Yeah.
And all the songs were really born from that spirit, including even the very melancholy Heart is Stone. Mm-hmm. Because it was about, you can't change somebody else's heart or intentions, but you can change your own. You can take ownership of your own and your own way of perceiving things. Very constructive time, very productive by the fact of being restricted.
Right.
And very therapeutic.
Yeah.
A lot of self-reflection.
Well, I want to talk about that inspiration and collaboration. On this album, you've got a lot of new names that you're collaborating with. David Stewart, Adam Messenger, Wayne Hector. What is it about them that you wanted to work with, and what were you seeking with this?
So I've always been a very solitary writer.
Yeah.
And the only other co-writer that I've ever spent time with is Mutt Lange. Mm-hmm. So then you add COVID onto everything. I'm like, oh gosh, okay. Now I'm like, I want to just open the door and be with people. And I had written so much of the album already in solitary confinement, literally, right? The Queen and Me album. That by the time I was able to get into the other room into a room with anybody else, started with one person, then two people, then three people. I'm like, okay, this feels really good. And I just indulged and enjoyed it. And it was a really fun experiment for me. I didn't know how I was going to react collaborating in that group setting. I was very open with my record label, with my management. I'm like, I'm open, but I don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Just saying. But I'm open.
There's no denying that you broke barriers for women in music, especially the country music scene. Taylor Swift, Kelsey Ballerini, Casey Musgraves, Maren Morris, Carrie Underwood have all had successful careers inspired by you. Have you had a chance to let that sink in?
It was really Taylor that started talking about me. And I'm thinking, Taylor Swift, okay, how old is Taylor? And there was a puzzle that started to make sense to me. It's like when she was growing up to my music, she was of the generation of little kids that were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in my audience all those years ago that were there with their parents. Their parents were saying, oh, my daughter, my son, you know, my child is like your biggest fan. Here's Taylor, all these years later. You know, now we're 20, 30 years later with adults that can now express it for themselves.
Yeah.
This blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually being reunited with these kids
Yeah.
that I was singing to in concerts that are now speaking up for themselves, coming to the concerts with their friends, with other, you know, kids that grew up the same way listening to, you know, my music.
Yeah.
So it's more of a realization when I hear about this, that I'm being reunited with these kids that, you know, now they're all grown up.
Man, I Feel Like a Woman means so much to so many people, but especially those in the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay, so when I wrote Man, I Feel Like a Woman, I was not aware that there was going to be LGBTQ. I'm kind of passionate about it because I just feel like I really stand up for, more than for anything, for being inclusive. All inclusive. Like, you either believe in it or you don't. Who are we to judge each other, right? I love to embrace anyone who's willing to stand up for who they really are inside and outside. And sometimes who we are on the inside is not even who we are on the outside. I mean, I know that firsthand. I mean, I live that all the time. I think we all do. I think just be yourself. And yes, the country music genre, whatever that means, I don't believe that it's the listeners. I believe that there's someone or thing, some people that are trying to manage the acceptance of talent that belong in country music and keeping them out. This is frustrating for me because I think we are missing out on a lot of exceptional talent and we're losing them to other genres. Maybe they don't, you know, maybe they say, wow, I really want to be a country artist, but I have no chance.
Right.
And they take their talent somewhere else. That's our loss in country music. So, you know, I mean, for myself, talk about someone different coming to the country music genre. I was definitely, insulted, deliberately insulted by people that wished I would have just never come to country music. You know, a lot of people said very openly that I ruined country music. The wickedness, I think it's just sad and I think that, but you know, we cannot change the minds and the hearts of others, so we have to find another way.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. You know, we got to find another way. We have to find a way. I'm not sure what the answer is yet, but I think speaking about it is already awesome.
Yep. Exactly. Bit by bit. More work to be done.
Awareness, you know, like, what are you so afraid of? Like,
I know.
you know, let's be fearless. Let's be more fearless.
Like the video? Then hit the button, or better yet, drop us a comment. Then check out our latest videos here. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button here for more celebrity interviews and entertainment news.